Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making a baked Alaska. So let's get started. To make this recipe, you'll need 2 to 3 flavors of ice cream. It's totally up to you. A loaf of pound cake or butter cake, anything will do. Superfine or granulated sugar, cream of tartar, I'll give you some substitutions for that later, and 4 egg whites. That's it. This recipe is so easy if you prep the bowl right. If you don't, it's a nightmare that never ends. So let's do it the right way. Get an 8 to 9 inch bowl. It's totally up to you on how big you want it and how many people you're serving. Just a couple drops of oil here. Any oil will work. This is gonna be frozen until it is rock hard. And if we were using like water or something, it would turn into ice. The oil won't freeze. So that's why we're lining the entire bowl with oil so that it's nice and easy to remove. Here's the weird part. Normally in a recipe, they'll say use plastic wrap and you line the bowl and then you pull it out. But plastic wrap rips so easily and that's a nightmare part. Because if your ice cream melts, no, it can't. I have this old ribbon that I recycled. I kept it from a present. And I'm gonna use this as a handle. So this is gonna go in here, and you could use like maybe a small rope if you want to, or something like that, or even like the ribbon you use for balloons. And I'm just gonna place it like across here, okay? This is gonna be my handle to yank this out of the bowl, and it's gonna make everything way, 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 way easier. You'll be making baked Alaskas nonstop. All right, I'm gonna need probably 2 pieces of plastic for this. It can be kind of loose because when you pull it out, you'll be pulling it by the ribbons, not the plastic this time. So happy with this little hack because it makes everything just much easier. Okay, my bowl is lined with oil and ribbon and plastic. Now we're gonna pull some ice cream out, and this ice cream needs to be a little soft. So if your freezer runs super cold, let it hang out in the fridge for a bit, or you can even let it hang out on the counter for a bit. And you can use whatever ice creams you want, however many different flavors you want. It's totally up to you. I'm using 2 today, and they're Brian's favorites. I have mint chocolate chip, which is like his ultimate flavor of ice cream. And I also have some nice good old-fashioned chocolate. Grab an ice cream scoop, and we're gonna be placing little scoops of ice cream right into our prepared bowl. Into the bowl. Full disclosure, somebody has been sneaking my ice cream on the sly. I'm not gonna name names, but I have like 2 partial chocolates. So just FYI. Get smaller scoops of ice cream. I learned that if they're smaller, you have a nicer pattern. If you wanna go crazy, you can make layers of ice cream. So a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. But honestly, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, so you have to freeze it over and over again. It's much easier just to scoop alternating colors in. And if you want, you could definitely go ahead and bring a 3rd or a 4th flavor in. One hint for you, a nicer brand of ice cream is gonna work better for a baked Alaska. So here's the deal. Lots of times there's like softeners and other things added into ice cream so it's scoopable right away, it doesn't get too hard. But if it doesn't get too hard, how's it not gonna melt? Let me ask you that. All those brands of ice creams that feel really soft and they have a couple additives in them, they just don't get rock hard like they need to be for your baked Alaska. So your beautiful dessert will start melting right away and you're not gonna be happy. So take a look at the ingredients and make sure it's like just a couple things like milk, sugar, etc. I want you to come and take a look at this. Right now you can see there's alternating like brown and green places here. When you cut into this baked Alaska, you should see like a pretty pattern of different things happening, not just a giant blob and a giant blob. So smaller scoops. One more thing, don't be too ambitious and make a giant baked Alaska. I learned this the hard way. The thing is that they're incredibly difficult to cut into if they get too big. So this is really a nice size. It's an 8-inch bowl and it serves a lot of people. Like that's gonna serve like maybe 8 people. The other thing is you don't wanna fill the dome up completely. Leave a little bit of space because we do have a layer in here and you're gonna see that in a minute. Let's do it like this. We have an overhang of plastic on either side, fold it up, and we're gonna press down. Now lift that plastic up. So we have a layer of the 2 flavors. Open that back up. I'm just gonna top it with a thin layer of chocolate and then pop it into the freezer. I'm working with fairly cold ice cream, so I can really just press it down. But if your ice cream is getting super soft right now, go ahead and pop this into the freezer just to hang out until it's firm. So here we are. Let's place that on. Press that chocolate layer on. After you smooth that top layer of chocolate, here's the deal. You wanna get some cake on the bottom of your dome. It's gonna be an insulator between that and the plate and prevent everything from melting. Any cake will do. I'm using a pound cake today, but anything is fine. Well, any denser cake. You don't wanna have a really fluffy cake because it'll get compacted. So like a pound cake or a butter cake are ideal. We're gonna cut this into like 1/2-inch slices. Just like that. Try and keep them mostly uniform. Now, just place them on top and you wanna piece them together like a puzzle so it's totally pure cake. No gaps. So I might do a little bit of trimming here and there. Then we'll be able to get this baked Alaska into the freezer. Just trim the other pieces as needed so they fit into a circle shape. And it does not have to be perfect because this is gonna be covered in meringue and just other delicious stuff's gonna happen. There, that's great. So when I flip this onto my plate, it won't all melt. The cake is gonna insulate everything. Just going to place that back there. Don't worry if there's chocolate ice cream around, it's not gonna matter. Our beautiful dome of ice cream is ready to go into the freezer for about 2 to 4 hours. I wanna stress, this ice cream should be rock hard, like hard, so that it does not start melting once you put the meringue on and you start cutting it and serving it. So into the freezer. When your ice cream dome is nice and frozen and you're about ready to serve, it's time to make the meringue. So we'll want 4 room temperature egg whites. And today I'm following best practices and cracking them into their own individual eggs. Bowls. I just don't want this yolk to break. There we go. So this is a little conveyor belt. You go break, dump, break, dump. That way if one breaks, it's not gonna be a big deal. Making a meringue is so easy and they're really versatile too. Okay, that's 4 egg whites. These egg yolks are delicious and you can use them to make an amazing custard. Ooh, save those for later. All right, now into our bowl, I'm adding 1 ingredient that's kind of optional. It's called cream of tartar. It's an acid derived from the winemaking process. And the acid is just gonna help stabilize our meringue. If you don't have it, the meringue will still come out. You could also add in like a 1/4 teaspoon of white vinegar if you want to, or even lemon juice. All right, give this a mix until it starts to froth. In the meantime, I'm measuring out 200 grams or 1 cup of super fine sugar. You can totally make this with regular granulated sugar, but super fine is super fine. And that just means that it's gonna melt and dissolve into your egg whites easier. That's nice and frothy. It's gonna melt into the egg whites and give you a marshmallowy, amazing meringue. Your meringue will be done when you can do this and not feel the grit of the sugar. So superfine really helps you out. If you don't have it, by the way, you could just put granulated sugar in a blender or a food processor for a few pulses. I'm gonna spoon this in slowly. It's mixing on high, but just a spoonful of sugar at a time, and then drizzle it in. In this moment, you have all the time in the world, and this is how you get a really nice meringue. Almost there. And the last little bit. It's not ready, I just want to show you what's going on right now. So you can see I have very soft peaks. It's gonna be mixing for a while longer. I just want to scrape the bowl down because I see some sugar on the rim and I know the bottom's probably not mixed in either. Let's get that all off. And now it's gonna mix for a little bit of time. you'll see that the texture is really smooth. It's not marked by little specks of sugar. And you'll also notice the peaks are stiffer. I want it to be mirror smooth though, so a couple more minutes. Set it aside. Go ahead, get your cake plate out or whatever you're serving this on, and grab that bowl out of the freezer. My dome is so cold. Oh, my fingers. Let's unwrap this. Look at this cute little basket situation here. All right, the last time I made this, it was like a nightmare to get out, so wish me luck. Oh my God. Yay, it came out. The thing is, you want to get this out as quickly as possible without melting the top of the dome, because that is where your problems start. And I'm telling you this because I've learned the hard way. Notice I'm doing this on top of the frozen bowl. Right, it's unmounted. Plop that and center it out. And now, as quickly as possible, we're going to smother this in the meringue. So just like that cake on the bottom, the meringue on top is gonna help insulate our dome in the most beautiful and delicious way possible. There we go. It's important to get it all the way to the bottom so the cake isn't showing, and it just helps with the insulation. Now, using a smaller spatula, just to give it a few expressive little swirls, like whoa. So any kind of peak you can get going up, it's great. Remember, time is of the essence here, so don't go crazy with your decoration scheme. You just want to have a little bit of a drama. Okay, the favorite part is torching it. You really don't want to put this in the oven. Some recipes call for broiling them. You can also flambe them, but that is, I don't know, it's a headache, to be honest. Flambeing is really cool at restaurants when someone else is doing it. This is what I've learned. Look how beautiful that is. I don't want to burn the meringue. I'm just toasting it to give it some definition so you can really see it, and that wonderful toasted meringue flavor. Ooh, she is pretty. Oh, then. Look at this, your baked Alaska is complete. Now, the only difficult part of this is cutting into it. So grab a sharp knife. You wanna have some hot water at the ready so you can dip it in and just clean it off. And it's gonna be ready to serve. And we're gonna give this a cut so you can see what it looks like inside. So you stab it through the center, and then you wheel the knife down. So good, and a total dream come true for all you ice cream lovers. If you like this recipe, check out my ice cream cake.